Welcome to the ACSA Campus Tour, where we take you up and down the state to talk with a school administrator about the successes and challenges they're experiencing during this COVID-19 pandemic. Joining us today is Rob Hasty, the principal from Oakmont High School in the Roseville Joint Union High School District. My alma mater. Rob, I'm wearing my navy blue and Columbia blue today to make sure I represent the school as an alumni. It's so good to have you on the show today.
Thanks, and thanks for sporting the Oakmont colors. Always appreciate that.
Let me ask you, school has been going on for a few weeks now. I know you and your staff considered the successes and challenges before the school year started. As we've begun, what have been the successes and challenges? And those challenges, are they the ones that you expected?
Great question. Yeah, obviously, you continue to hear the word unprecedented used around everything going on with the pandemic and how it's impacting our world. On our campus, there have been a lot of successes that we're really happy with, being in a distance learning process. But I think one of the things that, from a success standpoint, that we're really most proud of is continuing to provide a world-class, rigorous education, given the circumstances that we're under. And we're also learning as we go how education will move forward in the future in a completely different way. While the pandemic can be looked at in a lot of really negative ways from an educational standpoint, it's really forced us to do a lot of self-reflection and exploration of other ways to deliver content to our students besides the standard, typical in the classroom, front of the classroom type lecture. So from a success standpoint, I think that that's going to be a long-term impact of what's going on with the pandemic and having kids off campus. And the growth that we've seen in our teachers is just incredible, with their ability to use technology to deliver instruction and curriculum to students who are, learning remotely. From a challenge standpoint, I think that it comes down to supporting students. The difficulty in supporting our students who are most at need, our 504 kids, students that are on IEPs, our English language learners. Those are where the difficulties and challenges continue to be and exist, and they're major equity issues that we're trying to overcome through the various ways that we approach supporting those kids. I think the other piece that's been a difficult piece or a challenge for us that we weren't really expecting was from the standpoint of this issue becoming a really real political issue. It's really divided the community. Obviously, our community has differing opinions on, whether we should come back, whether we shouldn't come back. And likewise, it's been polarizing for students and staff who are involved in that political aspect of this. I think as an educational institution, and I think most of us will agree on this, we all want to be back on campus. We all want to be back to a quote unquote normal learning environment. I think where the discord and the disagreement happens is in how quickly do we come back on campus and how do we do that safely. And so I think that challenge has been the biggest one, is dealing with that and making sure people feel safe as we start to come back on ground.
Well, high school is this unique environment because you have some students that are coming in and having their first experience in high school. You have others that are taking that last step before college and career. When you have those two groups together, how do you go about creating that type of environment and that type of experience when students can't be on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's the weirdest part of doing what we're doing right now. We're used to having the electricity, the energy of our students on campus, making our campuses go and giving our campuses life each and every day, and not having them here has been difficult. I think for our seniors, I think trying to continue to get them involved and as much as possible in student activities and events that we continue to do, different events and groups that we normally would. So we're continuing to do things like Club Rush. We're continuing to do things where we get students on campus via athletics. Right now, we're able to get them on in small pods before and after school. We're getting students on campus to get support. Some of our seniors who are trying to graduate and move on to four-year colleges, we're obviously working with them in order to connect via student groups that we're developing. So helping them develop small groups that they can work with online. And I think those online tools have been the challenge, but have been the thing we've really focused on with our seniors to kind of keep them engaged and keep them moving. I think we've done some really small personal things. Each year we do lawn signs for our AP and IB students, and where staff actually go out and personally put those things on their lawns. What we're trying to do is give some positives to our seniors and to our students that are coming to the end of their 4 years at Oakmont, trying to do some positive things for them in a world right now that has a lot of negatives and a lot of no's for them. As far as our freshmen, yeah, it's been a difficult time trying to get them to connect to campus because they're not here. They're not able to go through Link Crew at the beginning of the year where we're welcoming them and celebrating them being a part of the Oakmont family. And so not being able to do those things, we've tried to substitute those things with things like drone videos of the campus to give them tours of the campus. At the beginning, the first day of school, I did a live tour of the campus where I walked them around, showed them different aspects of the campus, did live Q&A with them about the campus, about what goes on at Oakmont High School and what it's like to actually be on ground. We hope things like that are allowing our students to connect a little bit to the campus. And we still continue to do spirit days where we get kids involved. I've got a principals advisory committee that I do at least once a month. And a big part of that is really addressing the questions that kids have about what campus life is like here at Oakmont High School.
I love that. Drones and live broadcasts. That's great. Let me ask you about the CTE program there at Oakmont, because it's diverse. It's fantastic. So much of CTE is about hands-on, in-person education. And I just asked you about replicating the experience for seniors and for freshmen. Let me ask you about those CTE students, because your programs are so valuable. What was the discussion like for you and your CTE coordinators and instructors before the school year began? And how has that evolved as you guys have worked through this first month?
Yeah, well, as you would guess, the big discussion is how do we continue to do things that are really hands-on courses? How do we continue to do those through a distance learning process? As we talked about it, what we really focused on was how do we find ways to use technology to get our kids doing things that they would do on ground and using their hands. So we have twice a month we do a materials distribution day. And during that time, what we're doing is delivering or having students come pick up materials that are going to be used throughout the next 2 weeks in their CTE courses, in their college prep courses, AP courses, IB courses, everything. And what our CTE folks have been able to do, to give you an example, in our health academy, they are, instead of being able to go out to the hospitals and participate in actually working in a hospital each day, what we've done is brought the hospital to the kids via Zoom and different platforms to try to have speakers from physical therapists to nurses to doctors walking them around the hospital where they have cameras in hand and they're videoing things that are going on in the hospital. They're explaining what their job responsibilities are in various aspects of the medical field and trying to educate our students on what it actually means to work inside a hospital based on a lot of different positions within each hospital setting. In culinary, we're delivering food materials that will be used in live videos of a teacher demonstrating how to cook different meals. And then the students need to video themselves cooking that very same meal, replicating the steps, and actually, sending that material back to the teacher and the students to look at the process that the student went to and to assess how well the student did in producing a meal, in producing in our construction tech area, in producing an Adirondack chair, multiple different products that are produced in our construction area. And so I think those have been the major obstacles that we've tried to overcome. From a tech standpoint, with our CTE programs like graphic design and media, we've actually been able to push out programs that normally reside only on high school computers and are only used here on campus. We've actually been able to push those out to our students to give them access to the programs they need in order to develop videos and to create the projects that they're required to create in all of those CTE courses.
Rob Hasty, Principal, Oakmont High School, Roseville Joint Union High School District. Rob, please give my best to the Oakmont family.
I will. Thank you so much for having me today. Really appreciate it.
And thank you folks so much for joining us here on the ACSA Campus Tour. Remember, we take you up and down the state on Tuesdays to talk with the district administrator about the successes and challenges their school community is experiencing during this COVID-19 pandemic. That comes your way Tuesdays here on the ACSA Campus Tour.